He's by far the best striker in the world currently, and I think it's because he's playing in the Bundesliga. Lewandowski, keep doing what you're doing, and I think that will force them to recognize you and to start mentioning you among the elite goal scorers of this era. Hello, welcome back to Halftime. Norando Brown here, providing you with the week in Europe that was. The Champions League brought forth a bunch of unfortunate fixtures for the teams in Europe, or unfortunate results, I might say. Marino was the only victor, walking away with a 4-2 win. They came from 2 goals down to wrap that game up in 90 minutes, winning by 4 goals to 2. So Eric Dyer, he was sacked early on in that game, seen only 29 minutes in. Mourinho removed him, and he constantly apologized following the conclusion of that game, and he alluded to praising the ball boy. You would have thought that ball boy was a part of his squad as well. For the other teams in the Champions League, Chelsea drew. Their errors, their schoolboy errors are evident for everyone to see. The defense line needs a whole lot of work. Kurt Zouma, he partnered with Christensen for this time out, and they were lucky to have come away with a draw, let me say that. The other team, Manchester City, had a 1-1 draw. Liverpool had a 1-1 draw as well. It's been quite some time since Liverpool had a clean sheet, so Van Dijk needs to work on his organizational skills, as the persons who he's working with, they don't seem to have gotten the memo, as Liverpool has been shipping goals left, right and center this week. But some will say they're focusing on the league, but regardless, a great defender, they pride themselves on clean sheets. Jumping over to the Europa League, neither of the teams had played in that competition from England. They won. Manchester United lost, Arsenal lost, Wolverhampton Wanderers, they drew 3 goals to 3. At one point they were leading 3 goals to 1. So that's a disappointing result for Nuno and his men over there. As it relates to Manchester United, they fielded a rather young team. A lot of the youngsters got their debut. Jesse Lingard was the captain for the most part, and surprisingly he ended up scoring as well. So that's Solskjaer and his men. They have already qualified for the second round, and that might be the reasoning behind him fielding so many under 23 players. We got a chance to see Granit Xhaka back on the field of play as well, which is always good to see following that last time out with the fans. There was this breakdown in relationship with him and the fans. His reaction to being substituted and being booed by the fans was unacceptable, some may say, but we have to understand that these are humans as well, and they react accordingly when they come under pressure. So for the teams in Europe and the English Premier League, it shows the void in the level of play and what we are to expect, which is not very, very much when it comes to European competitions. There are very few, which is a handful, when they go to Europe or go on the European stage. We know that they'll do well. Liverpool is one such team. Tottenham has been doing great in the past few seasons, but whether they will come good under Jose Mourinho, I'm yet to see. It's just his second game in charge of these guys, and I'm waiting to see how they will do, because he would have been kicking himself when Tottenham was 2-0 down and wondering what he did wrong. And had that game finished any other way than Tottenham winning, I am pretty sure the critics would have been back and indicating that it was a big mistake to have kicked Mauricio Pochettino out of the club. So jumping over to that Arsenal team, I am not sure what's happening down there. Unai Emery, he needs to work on something, and he needs to work on something really, really fast, because if he doesn't, he will be out of a job really soon, and he will be joining Mauricio Pochettino and the other guys from the English Premier League who've already faced the sack. Arsenal are on their worst run of results since 1992. We were expecting him to apply his meticulous nature, his attention to detail. However, we've seen none of that since he arrived. There is no direction on where the club is heading. There is no clear system in place, and the players are rightfully ridiculing him back from that Europa League outing. But I won't dwell too much on that. We'll discuss it a bit more in the episode that is to come. So Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, I've mentioned this in a previous podcast, that he has a little bit more time than the other managers, and we've seen it time and time again. Manchester United loses, Manchester United draws, and we don't see that level of pressure and that level of criticism coming from the fans or coming from the spectators. So that is what we have grown to expect for Manchester United for the past few months, and it shouldn't be a surprise to anyone. Frank Lampard, he needs to work on that Chelsea defense line. It's been all over the place. Liverpool, I see clearly that you're focusing on the English Premier League, but I think they can do a far better job. I know Napoli is a really good team, and they were up against really good players as well. This week of fixtures saw Lionel Messi add Borussia Dortmund to his list of victims in the UEFA Champions League. They were victim number 34 as he was on the score sheet once more. We've all grown so accustomed to that narrative, Lionel Messi Champions League score sheet. It was expected. Something interesting to take away from that game as well, as following the game, Matt Hummels and Marco Reus came out and they spoke to the media, and they indicated that it was a masterclass just to be on the same pitch as Lionel Messi, and they got to watch the greatest player of their generation from the best seat in the house. So it shows the level of admiration these players have for Lionel Messi, and it's also good that they can admit that he's one of the best of this era, although they were opponents on the night. Hats off to Lionel Messi and his team, Barcelona. They haven't been doing too well domestically. However, they've been blow to blow with all the other teams in the UEFA Champions League. Staying in that zone, Lukaku had a goal and 2 assists in Inter Milan's 3-1 win over Slavia Praha. And I think it's a rebirth of Romelu Lukaku. He has been scoring non-stop since he moved to Italy, and that's a good step for him. He's been doing well with the international team, and he continues to excel with Inter Milan in the domestic and UEFA Champions League as well. Juventus won their game over Atletico Madrid. That game ended 1-0, and for the first time in quite some time, Cristiano Ronaldo was not the one to put Atletico Madrid to the sword. Paulo Dybala scored a stunner from a rather ridiculous angle, and that goal was enough to see his team through, and that was a really cagey game. Mauricio Sarri, he's yet to impose his philosophy on that Juventus team, and I think it's talent and sheer class that's taking that team through the ranks or through the gears as we're seeing them now. Bayern Munich, they're looking good. I think the interim manager that's there now, they'll give him a little bit more time to see out probably the rest of the season or even the rest of the year, as they're yet to lose a game since he's taken over in the Champions League. So that's really good for him. This is the roundup for the week in Europe that was. Please tune in for the full episode of Halftime. Also in the description, there's a GoFundMe link. A close friend of mine, confidant and mentor, she's gravely ill and she needs dialysis in order to survive. So please visit that link and donate however small it is. It will be greatly appreciated. Thanks again for tuning in to Halftime. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Until next time.